you once again. And I hope today's program is going to be an exciting one. So, as we stated earlier, today's program is going to be very packed. In today's program, we stated earlier, there's going to be a history of Alzheimer's chapter. Yes, so we have it. And then we also have code of ethics of the Alzheimer's. I hope you are all ready to learn and then study, jot down something so that at the end of the day, you will become better Alzheimer's students than what we thought Alzheimer's was. So our next speech will be given by one of our speakers and also a patron of Alzheimer's TAKWA student chapter, that is Dr. Bright Opon Efum. He is going to give us a brief history on the TAKWA student chapter. So without wasting much time, we will give the podium to Mr. Bright Efum to take us through the history of Alzheimer's student chapter. Dr. Efum, please, if you can hear me, please take over.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's fine. So I'm excited to share. Let me see if I can share my screen. So I'll do a quick discussions and we'll be able to see what we have. Yes, I have there. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, please.
Yes, all right. So I'll just do it very brief and request for a dialogue or discussions through questions and answers. So I'm excited to do this on behalf of the Alzheimer's TAKWA student chapter and also on behalf of Mr. Henry Entry and my senior colleagues and brothers, Dr. Ampofo, Isaac, and the rest. All protocol duly observed. So my name is Bright and the current patron of Alzheimer's, but residing in Canada and a lecturer in the University of Mines and Technology, the mining engineering department. So, yeah, so quickly look at, sorry, I'm missing the slides. Okay, so the Alzheimer's itself, since you are new, you may want to take notice of this. So it's actually the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy. Now, sometimes it's confusion. Some people say Institution of Mining, but this is the AUSM, the definition. Briefly founded in 1893, so it is very, very old. And the core purpose of the institution globally has been to shape careers, to showcase leadership, create communities, and uphold industrial standards. So the focus of AUSM is to help professionals in shaping their careers. So if you are a mining engineer or a mineral engineer or a metallurgist or wherever any profession you find yourself, we want you to be a very sharp professional. Also, because you have a lot of leadership, you want to ensure that the leadership of members are very seen everywhere. And again, we want to create a community where we know ourselves, we understand ourselves, we speak common language, we share more opportunities to ourselves, we encourage each other. So the Takwa Ozim is a typical community that has been created in the Ghanaian and African region. Then also uphold industry standards, ensure that whatever that we do it right, we follow protocols, ethics, and a whole lot of stuff, just to ensure that the industry is safe and also profitable for us all. So the Ozim represents currently a global community from 110 countries all over the world. Now, the previous president, Janine Herzig, just handed over to the current president. I need to change this. It's called Dave Clark. So it's Dave Clark is the current president of the Ozim now, or what we say that the chairman of the board of directors. So every year we elect a new director. So he is the current one for 2021. And they are all fellows. So when we go to the genesis of the Takwa Ozim, I remember some time ago in 2014, when I met Henry again in Cape Town, the Mining Indaba conference. So we interacted, and I remember telling Henry that the first time I heard of his name was in 2004 or 2005, when he visited the then Western University College of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, when he visited us and shared some highlights on mining, the global industry, and professionals in the current small auditorium that you guys have. It wasn't in that shape. It was that same year that UMass, I think, became a fully fledged university, 2004. So we shared that, and I don't know, one way or the other, he remembers me, but I don't know. Then we began the discussion of Ozim. But the Ozim also, I know one Mr. Richard Amwaku is now, I've been trying to, I don't know whether he's on the call, but I was trying to reach him so that he will be around to share some few stuff with you. Yeah, he's now in South Dakota. Is South Dakota? Yes, South Dakota University in the US here. Yeah, pursuing his PhD, a very strong guy. Yeah, but I couldn't reach him. Yeah, I think he's busy. Yeah, so he also was engaging Henry on the sideline. So when I returned to Takwa after the conference, then Amwaku came to my office and shared what he has been discussing with Henry about Ozim, and yeah, but I became a member of Ozim in 2014. I think, yes, 2014, I was in Australia, Brisbane, and I registered as a member in that. So even up to now, I'm still regarded as a member of the Queen's Dr. Ampofo's previous or former institution. Yeah, they still send me stuff because they hosted the program when I was there. And I think that was the time I also met Dr. Ampofo, and we interacted for some time. Yeah, and we are still interacting. So when Amwako also brought the idea, and I said, yes, I think it will be good. We should look at it. Henry is a force in the industry, and he has the passion to help young professionals. So it will be good to have this community. And to cut a long story short, we initiated the AUSIM, the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy. So you can see in 2015, we were of the Yuma chapter, and it has metamorphosed into the Tarkwa chapter and all those things. Yeah, so it began in that form, and we held our first workshop. So this slide that you are seeing is the first workshop that we did on Monday, 28 September 2015, in the seminar room of the auditorium. And I don't know whether Mr. Atu was around, but we got some professionals who came around to support the program. And we cut a cake to inaugurate the AUSIM. Unfortunately, I missed some of my pictures, so I wanted to show you that. But I'm sure when you join the page, we'll be able to share those pictures as well to you. So we did that, and we had Mr. Peter Mponsa Mensah. I would say he has been and still is like the right-hand man of Henry. Anywhere Henry goes, Peter is there. When you need Peter, call Henry. When you need Henry, call Peter. So they've been moving together, you know. And, you know, sometimes we try to say, oh, Henry, main sponsor, da. Yeah, Peter has also been there for us, and he's still there for the AUSIM from day one. So the program, again, as it is now, like new recruits, we floated some topics for people students to apply and write on those articles or topics. And we use that to screen, to sponsor people into the chapter. And that has been so even up to now. So even though student membership is free, not everybody has the privilege to be part of the AUSIM Tarkwa chapter. So if you are selected and you are here today, you have that privilege. And so we want you to uphold that privilege highly. So in short, I will say that the AUSIM started in Tarkwa 2015. And the first workshop we did was on Monday, 28 September. So I will say that that will be the birthday of AUSIM Tarkwa. Then in 2016, we had our main first conference. The first conference in 2016 was organized in the auditorium. We had, you could see, notable among them is Joy, the presidential candidate, independent candidate. So the team was fully packed. We had even the CEO of Minerals Commission by then, Dr. Tony Obin, the Vice Chancellor, former Vice Chancellor, Professor Kuma. They were there, they were all there to grace it. And I always say that it was and still one of the largest conference, first ever that we did in UMAT. So these are just some brief highlights of the day. So Theophilus, you can see him at the right, was, I would say he had just handed over the president to Faustina. And so he came from the industry to grace this occasion. You could also see Dr. Suleiman Akone, no, Mr. Suleiman Akone, yeah. Also the CEO of Chamber of Mines. I don't know whether he's still the CEO. And you see myself as well doing some presentation in the auditorium. The place was fully packed. So briefly, it's good to mention this, that the first president is Mr. Theophilus Mensah. The second, Faustina Madiok, handed over to Gloria. Gloria handed over to Wisdom. And we are in the 5th presidency now. Abigail running over the show. Now, although I was the patron from 2015, when I left UMatt 2016, December, Mr. Mwakum became the patron and supported the group until when he also left. Then the community again decided that I should be patron. I remember sharing with Henry that I'm outside now, but maybe the people there, was it Gloria and Wisdom? Yeah, one of them, I think Gloria, yes, might have seen that Corona will come and all of us will be reverting to online. And so we'll be used to online stuff. So I became the patron again. So I would say that we are in our 5th year or our 6th year. If 2015, 2021, we are in our 6th year. Now the tradition of the OSIM is student-focused works and empowerment. We focus more on students, sponsorship, mentoring, excellence, and ethics. So even though you have joined us, I'm welcoming you to this tradition, the OSIM. There are a lot of things that all the executives from the first Theophilus time establishing the group. Now we have even the Kumasi chapter opening up, which will surely open. The Sunyani chapter is also opening up, which will also come on. So we have the group expanding, and therefore it's an indication of the impacts that everybody in the past 6 years have done or contributed. Many people contributing behind the scenes, even when they were not executives. So that's the tradition. Even if you are not an executive, you contribute in some part. And there are a lot of institutions that have been established by all these executives. So I will end here, and I know when we get to the question and answers, we shall revisit some of this information, and we'll be able to have a smooth journey in OSIM. So I welcome you all once again, and I encourage you to enjoy your journey, your professional journey in OSIM. Don't stay in your shells, come out, showcase your leadership, showcase your exploit, and you enjoy the OSIM. Do have a good evening, everyone. Yeah, I know there will be other questions, answers. So MC, you can take over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Efum, for your insightful presentation. We really appreciate.
Yeah, MC,
through your presentation, getting to know the history of OSIM.
MC, quickly, let me make this insertion.
Okay.
Yeah, I miss Anafo here. You see, I was saying we are in the 6th year and the 5th president. So there is Anafo between Gloria and Wisdom. Yeah, between Gloria and Ivio. So Ishmael Anafo is the 4th president. Yeah, Ishmael, if you are there, don't come and fight me. That guy is a strong man. Yeah, so he is the fourth president, Wisdom fifth, and the sixth president. So if established in 2015 and we are in the 6th year, then it is in order. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you once again, Dr. Bright Efum, for the correction and also for your presentation. Yes, through your presentation, we've gotten to know the history of Alzheimer's then and then now. We thank you very much. Yes, through your presentation, we've gotten to know the core values or the core purpose of Alzheimer's to shape careers, to showcase leadership, to create opportunities, and then also to uphold industry standards. Thank you very much for even sharing with us, but now we've gotten to know. Therefore, we want to know what to do to stay as Alzheimer's members. So the next item on our list, without wasting much time, is to know the code of ethics of Alzheimer's, what and what not to do, so that we'll be able to stay as Alzheimer's members and then learn more from our industry professionals. So to do us the honor is Engineer Isaac Sam, who is a senior mining engineer at Mid-Range Canada. So to take us through the code of ethics of Alzheimer's. So Engineer Sam, if you can hear me, please take over.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, and is it good evening, everyone. As Fred Sechi said, I'm Isaac Sam, currently the senior mining engineer with Sanko Energy in Canada, and also greetings to Mr. Dr. Afum, my able friend, and I think I've seen Dr. Apofutu online, and any other professional to greetings and much respect to everyone in here, and again thanks for your time to join us, and welcome to the Oziam student chapter. I feel this is a group to be in, and as Dr. Afum said, if you participate and give all your time and effort into it, again you get the advantage of liaising with professionals. Again, get advantage of also learning and developing yourself. I don't know whether there is any group as such in any tertiary institution in Ghana now, whereby you have direct contact with professionals and you're always bombarded with lots of training and stuff. So welcome once again, and don't just be a normal member, be part of it, enjoy the process and connect. Okay, so I think what my Abigail and myself have been thinking about, the importance of ethics, right? I know you are students, some of you are, second year, third year, and I believe some of you are even in fourth year, right? And you'll be preparing to get into the workforce. So again, ethics is one thing that I was with Anglo. I think that I just left Anglo Good Ashanti this year or last year, and it's something that I saw even in professionals that are working. It is something that is missing. Most professionals actually don't even understand ethics. There's a confusion between ethics and what is legal, right? So today, what we're gonna do is I'm going to take you through, first what ethics is, and again, what is Oziam, what are the code of ethics? It's an association, right? So once you join in, you have some obligations. You cannot just be a member. It's not like, hey, I want to be with Oziam, and therefore you sign up and that is it. No, we want, it's a professional body, so we expect anyone who is part of this body behaves in a certain way, right? So again, I'm going to talk about the ethics of Oziam, and I know if as you graduate, GHI even has its own ethics. When you come to the association I'm part of or it's even a professional body here in Canada, which is Professional Engineers Ontario. It's not a small thing, I tell you. A code of ethics is even enforceable. Like you can't just do anything, right? So that's the same thing with OSIAM. OSIAM too, you can't just behave anyhow. You have to abide by this code of ethics. And it's good that as a student, you know what applies to you, so that when you get into the workforce and you still want to be a member of OSIAM, you go out there and you behave as such, right? Yeah. So what is ethics? The study of right and wrong. That is, the simple, definition. I think let me share my screen. That will be. I just did a quick presentation. So, can you all see my screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Good. Okay. So, ethics. What is ethics? So, ethics is the study of right and wrong. So, definitely what is wrong and what is right, right? Then we have what we call the moral principles. And moral principles are actually developed by, societies and groups. So, in Ghana here, definitely we'll have, a set of moral principles that we think um, we abide to or we conform to. When you go elsewhere in the world too, they'll have their own kind of moral principles, and every that one forms or it's gotten from the ethics. Then out of these moral principles, that's why we have the laws of the society. So most laws of a society comes from the moral principles, which also derives from the ethics, right? And so one thing I wanted to, and really want us to, understand these two terms, because normally you especially as I said, as I was working back then in Ghana, um professionals would be like, you know I'm blasting, right? And as long as the community is 500 meters away, I can do whatever I want to do. Minerals Commission says, it should be 500 meters, and the standard should be, as long as I'm not achieving, a ppv of 2 millimeters per second. That's the vibration, and an air blast of I think it's 116 or 117. I'm okay. So every time you see engineers, designing blasting, as long as they measure and it's not above 2. But you and I know that sometimes you go into the community, and even if it's not 2 and you always achieving 1.9, there's a bit of, people are, the buildings are shaking and stuff. So again, it's legal, right? Yeah, according to Minerals Commission, the engineer is legal, but ethically, can you do something about it? Can you change, can you make it more, whereby even as you blast as a professional, you don't really feel the effect, right? So and people put it short, or this is what I got. You say legal means what is allowed, what will not have consequences for you doing it. But normally ethical means what's morally right, what you should do regardless of consequences, right? So again, it stems from even standing up to a professional, your colleague, and saying that, hey, what this design that you've done is not, it's not right. Although Minerals Commission have, certified and everything, it's not right. So you are standing up for what is ethical, regardless of, the consequences that, comes out of it. So it goes on like, what is the differences? So you normally, laws are governed by the government, and ethics are, governed by an individual legal or professional norm. So that is why if you look at GHIE has its own, code of ethics. OSIAM also has their own code of ethics. Most professional bodies, have their own code of ethics, and it's enforceable. So when I say it's enforceable, meaning that if you look at GHIE by, the laws of Ghana, once you are a member of it, you have their code of ethics is by, you know, it's enforced. You have to abide by it. The same with OZIAM. OZIAM too is an association which, as we go through, and as Dr. Fum rightly said, it's something which the association is, instituted by, the Queen. It has that kind of royal, charter in place that we all have to make sure that we don't, we just don't act anyhow. So it's also, it's not someone who just waked up and say, hey, let's form OZIAM. It's an association which is really, really respected, right? And again, normally you find that law is, as I said, law is legal binding, but ethics do not have any binding nature. So that's why you have to understand the differences, right? Then there are various types of ethics. You have the normative, ethics, you have your personal ethics, you have the social ethics, and the professional ethics. So OZIAM, we have what we call the Royal Charter. Again, most of these things are online. You can take time and read them. And we all have to comply by it. Once you become a member, you have to comply at all times with the institute's charter, bylaws, code of ethics, regulations, and any professional code. So when you go online, you see, we have a whole Royal Charter, which actually institute, like, that's the foundation of OZIAM. It tells you that, hey, this is this and that, right? Then we have the bylaws. So the bylaws to state everything, like all the laws that we have to abide by being a member. Then we have the code of ethics. Then we even have the professional conduct. So that if you go into the professional conduct, that's when you find if, in case someone reports you, hey, Bernardo say, we realize that you were doing this, right? Which is, unprofessional. So as long as the complainant can prove that, you acted, unethical, right? They would, OZIAM will take you on. They have a whole, investigation unit that will make sure that, they also investigate and go into the details to, prove that whether you actually did, something which is not according to the code of ethics. And it was founded in 1893 by a group of individual, miners, and was officially incorporated by Royal Charter received from the Duke of Edinburgh and granted by Queen Elizabeth II in 1955. So a Royal Charter recognizes global prominence and is a privileged few organization that can claim offering, credibility to all, members. The OZIAM Charter and bylaws establish OZIAM as a not-for-profit professional institute. So as you know, it's more like, it's not for profit association that, we all are members, and most of the funds generated are to upgrade and develop ourselves. A Royal Charter focuses on developing and promoting best practice in the mining industries with a set of bylaws. So as long as you're a member, you are judged by, what you do. I remember when I came in here, and most of the time the jobs, here in Canada, they have a professional, bodies for every province, and they require you, to be in a senior, position. They require you to be part of these members. But as long and when they see OZIAM, they know that, okay, we can take this guy on because he's also, he there's a code of ethics which is kind of similar to most of the professional bodies here. So this is a guy who, when we pick and he misbehaves, we can easily, so it's a good thing as a professional. As you know develop, you have to be part of a body, so that whenever you go anywhere, someone can hold you responsible, right? And someone identifies you that, okay, you are part of this, group, and therefore you abide by this, code of ethics. The Royal Charter also focuses on, as I said, um, developing and promoting best practice. So these laws are also key elements of our structure, including membership grades, branches. And so if you look at all these bylaws, it states how elections has to be done. It's very, very detailed. Every activity of the association is actually, it's stated in there, so that no one just gets up and say, this is how we want to vote this and stuff, right? that the code of ethics of SIM represent the core values, of SIM and has been endorsed by all members. So again, this code of ethics is not like someone came and just said, "Yeah, you guys, this is what you should abide by." It's as members, this is what we feel, is morally right, and these are the code of ethics that we want to, abide by. And a breach of this code reported to the OZIM shall be treated as provided for in the bylaws in a manner that conforms with principles of equity, independence, reasonableness, and fairness. And again, I state the purpose of the code of ethics is to commit members to uphold and enhance both their personal integrity, the integrity of the profession, and to ensure the highest standing of the OZIM and of its members in the community. If you've seen this, you've realized that in being an engineer, it's more like you have a commitment first to the public. Most engineering work, then you have a obligation to your, to if you are employed, to your employer, then you have an obligation to yourself. So being an engineer, these are your three obligations. The first most is the public. So anything that you are doing, if it's not, it doesn't uphold public safety, then you don't have to do it. So even if you're an employer, so that is the hierarchy. It goes with every decision that you take. Is it, according to, or is it going to uphold public safety? Then it goes to your employer or company, then it comes to you. So this is the hierarchy of, your commitment. So if, as I said, if your company is telling you to do something which goes up, in contrary or not in conformity with public safety, you have to kind of, tell your company or your employer or your manager or whoever that, hey, this is a consequence in a nice way, not, just getting out and say, no, this is not. But first of all, tell whoever I say, no, this is not, right. Then if whoever your immediate boss or whoever says, he still doesn't agree with you, then you jump on to the next, level. So public safety has to always be, the number one. That is the role of any engineer or any profession in a society. So the purpose of this is, as you could see, to ensure the highest standing of the OZIM and its members, on the community sustain. Now, what are the code of ethics? So we have 9 sections under the code of ethics, and we'll quickly go through. And again, if afterwards, if you have any questions, you could ask. So, the first and foremost, the safety, health, and welfare of the community shall be the prime responsibility of members of the OZIM in the conduct of their professional activities. So, as I said, that is the number one. Anything else, it's secondary. The public safety is always, it always comes first. The members of the OZIM shall deal with clients, colleagues, and the community in a manner that upholds the principles of anti-discrimination and of equity. So again, how you deal with your colleagues at work, or even as professional members, how you deal with each other, you have to ignore, you shouldn't discriminate. You should make sure there's always, equity, at play. Members of the OZIM shall on all occasions act in a manner which upholds and enhances the honor, integrity, honesty, and the dignity of the profession. So again, if you go in contrary with any of these, so as being a professional member, you cannot be doing anything that someone who is not a member of OZIM should do, right? You can't just go out there and be saying anything, just like that, right? Because being a member of OZIM, you have to abide by these code of ethics. All your activities should be, you have to be honest, and it has to be dignified, right? Then members of OZIM shall perform work only in the areas of competence. So if you're a mining engineer, you don't
Yep. Then members of the OSRAM shall build their professional reputation on merit and performance and shall not compete unfairly. So again, within ourselves, if you are a member of OSIM, and what it's trying to say is you have to compete, fairly, right? You cannot say bad things about another colleague. Hello, can you hear me? Techi?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Yes, we can now hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so again, as I was saying, you should perform work only in the areas of your competency, and you should build your professional reputation on merit and performance, and shall not compete unfairly. So another thing too is what they are trying to say is even if you are a professional and you're advertising, normally as part of the code of ethics, if you read into it, you cannot advertise and say I'm the best engineer here, and don't go for consulting the one. Did you get it? So again, compete fairly among members. The members of OSAM shall at all times apply their professional skill and knowledge in the interest of their employer or client, except that members shall under no circumstances compromise their professional and ethical standards. So this section is trying to say that if you are employed, make sure that you give all your professional skill and knowledge in the interest of your employer, or if you're a consultant, again in the interest of your client. But in all this, don't compromise your professional and ethical standard. So if a manager comes and say, you know what, probably you're a mechanical engineer, right? And you develop you design a track, and after the track is manufactured, you do your testing and realize that the emissions is above when you read it, the emissions is more like above the regulatory standard. Then your manager calls you and say, you know what, we've worked so much. Do you think we have to go back all again and redesign? And because again, your manager will be telling you, we have our clients are waiting for us. You have to. This is our deadline. Can you go into the design, and just tweak, just change, just make it read. So instead of reading maybe 10, just reduce it by 5 so that it meets the industry standard. So in this case, you see, you'll be in a kind of a stage whereby are you going in accordance with the interest of your employer, or should you go against the public safety? And as I stated in the previous slides, this is the hierarchy. Anytime you are told to do something that goes, is going to head or going to impact on public safety, you shouldn't as an engineer. Maybe you do it, you can get away with it, but whenever it comes up, or another engineer picks it up, you cannot say, I acted in the interest of my employer. No, you'll be dealt with, as an engineer, and the employer too will be definitely, dealt with. So in all instances, make sure that you don't compromise your professional and ethical standards. And I'm saying this, you are students, probably now you don't know you don't know the magnitude of what this code, says, and you feel, hey, definitely everyone out there, is trying to do the right thing. No. So, when you graduate and you go in there, you should be the agent of these professional ethical standards. Always ensure that you uphold public safety. Always. That should be your main obligation as an engineer. Don't compromise. And again, don't when imagine when such a manager comes up and says, you should do this. Don't just flare up and say, no, it's not right. No, just go to that manager and talk to that man, sit with him and say, you know what, I understand these are that and that. We need to meet our deadlines, and it's going to you know, we are going to incur another cost because we have to go into redesign and everything, but it doesn't, you know, conform to public safety. And you try and explain to the person or whoever the engineer is, you know, it's against my professional, you know, or ethical standards, right? So you go into that again. If whoever doesn't, you know, conform to that, then you read well into the Zion, you know, the processing, then you have to move on to the next, your manager's manager, right? Then you also go in, you know, and try and say, no, you can't do it. So this is what is happening. If still, even to the point of higher management, everyone is unwilling. So that is when you have to now go in and, you know, go to a regulator and say, you know what, this is what is happening and I can't be part of it, right? So you have to stand up for the right thing. Again, the safety and health and welfare of the community. All statements made by a member of the Alzheimer in the professional capacity shall be made objectively. I think my time is almost up. Let's round up. It shall be made objectively, truthfully, and free of any influence which may compromise their professional judgment, and shall only be made within the members' area of professional competence. Members of the Alzheimer shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall actively assist and encourage any direction to and always advance their knowledge and experience. Members of the Alzheimer shall comply with all laws and government regulations relating to the mineral sector and shall keep up to date with relevant laws and jurisdictions in which they conduct businesses, and members dealing with public companies shall comply with the rules, regulations, and practices governing such companies as are published by the relevant stock exchange from time to time. And again, so just to round off quickly, these are we have the professional conduct committee and the ethics committee. So when someone issues a complaint against you or lodges a complaint against you, they are the body, and it's made up of 6 honorary fellow members. And again, the ethics is also made up of, and you don't have one member being also doubling up as a member of ethics. So these are 6 different groups, so like 12 people who are actually responsible for investigating any complaint. So anytime a complaint is made against you, based on your professional conduct, these are the committees that will take part and will make sure they investigate to get to the root of it. And after, let's say after the investigation, you are found guilty, and sometimes depend on the magnitude of your professional conduct, it could just be a notice, like advice, a caution, an issue, a formal remedy in the form of a warning, or sometimes they can recommend more serious sanctions, including membership suspension or expulsion, and also a public release. So we have a magazine, right? So sometimes they can, when you go in there, you see some of the members. It actually states some of the members who have gone, against the professional or the code of ethics. And at sometimes, if it's more of a legal and a serious issue, they even report you to like a government regulator who will now take it up, and it could be a very serious law issue, or like a law case against you, especially if it falls under a tort law whereby your actions came brought about public safety and stuff. So it's not just they can just say we don't we've expelled you or we've suspended you, but they can go on and report you to the relevant courts and hand over all their investigations to that body. And you remember, the one thing I want to add is this code of ethics also goes into, if you're a professional member, we have the JOG. So the JOG is actually also a way of reporting reserves and stuff. So you have to also abide by it. If if you just go and say you found gold here whereby there's no gold, you are liable to all these conduct. So these are the references. I could put, if you go in there, you see the code of ethics, you can read it, in details and stuff. Thanks everyone. I think the questions session, you can ask any question if you didn't get me right. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Sam, for taking us through the rules and then the conduct of all sign. Thank you once again. There will be a question and answering session. So please pen down your questions so that when it gets to that time, we'll be able to read it for our speakers to answer them for us for clarity. Even though we've been given the ethics and codes of all sign members, there is more to that. We all bear witness that we've been added to a WhatsApp page. Yes. So even on our WhatsApp pages, we have rules and regulations we are supposed to live by. So without wasting much time, I would like to take us through some of the rules and regulations on our WhatsApp page. Now, you bear witness with me that it is a professional platform. Therefore, we have industry professionals on it. Therefore, some behaviors and then some conduct are also not allowed on our platform. So as new recruits, you're supposed to know that it is not allowed to post stickers on our pages. Yes. On any of our pages, we are not allowed to post stickers. Yes, it's very unprofessional. And then any post that is also uneducative or not relating to the development of students and then the chapter is not allowed. Yes, advertisement of products, etc., are all not allowed on our WhatsApp pages. Yes, and then also, if you want to post something and you are not sure whether it is allowed or not, kindly seek advice from any of the executives so that you know whether what you're about to post is allowed by OSIM or not. Yes, because there are consequences for such actions, and therefore we really want to play a victim of it. Yes. Also, one part of our rules that mostly we neglect, but very serious, is that members who miss webinar twice are prone to losing their membership to the chapter. So should you lose webinar twice without an excuse or permission from any of the executives, you are prone to, your membership is prone to be revoked. Yes. So let's take notice of that. And then it is a professional platform. So we are also not advised to use abusive words on the page. Yes, it is a professional platform. So whenever someone uses an abusive word on you or says something you're not cool with, we can privately chat the person or you can speak to an executive so that it gets sorted out backstage. But abusive words are prohibited from the page. Yes. So I would advise all of us to adhere to these few rules and regulations and the ethics given to us by Engineer Sam so that we'll be able to enjoy our stay and then learn more as OSIM members. So once again, I will say, Engineer Sam, thank you very much for your presentation. We'll be moving to our next item on the list because time is fast spent. So our next item will be the introduction of the executives and heads of committees of OSIM Tarkwa Student Chapter. And to do this, Hannah, is our own president, Miss Abigail Ado. So if Miss Abigail Ado is with us, please take us through the introduction of our executives and then heads of committees.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, thank you very much once again for this opportunity. And please, I hope I'm clear.
Yes, please.
Okay. So per custom, every academic year, the management of the chapter sees to the election of new executives to run the activities of the chapter. And this academic year was no different. My team and I were elected into office on 1st June, I think, 1st June 2021. And since then, we have been seeing to the day-to-day running of the chapter's activity, together with the head of the committees, the subcommittees, under the supervision of the management. So my team and I are trying our very best to meet the standards set by the previous administration. And so far, I must say the journey has been exciting and fruitful. So on this note, I will take some few minutes to acknowledge the presence and also introduce my leadership team to you. So for the executive board, we have 6 members who make up the executive board. We have the president, which is myself, and the MC has introduced. Then we have the vice president, who is in the person of Miss Agnes Inima Osu. She has been my right hand since day one. She has been helping me in decision making as well as my other executive. And we have the general secretary. Unfortunately, our secretary couldn't join us because her phone, she's having issues with her phone for some time. And that's why you see me making communicating on the page. And the normal circumstance, she is supposed to handle that, but she's having some problem with her phone, so she's not with us today. And we have the organizer, that's Mr. Barry Batsau. He's from UMAT. The general secretary too is from UMAT. Then we have the vice president, who is from KNUST. Then we have the financial secretary. He sees to the day-to-day financial activities of the chapter, and he's in the person of Mr. Solomon Owusu-Ansah. Then we have our PRO, that's the public relations officer. He's in the person of Mr. Samuel J. So all the beautiful flyers that you've been seeing and stuff, he is the one in charge of it. He is the one. Then we have the KNUST coordinator. She's in the person of Ms. Kezia Praba Bonsu. She is also from KNUST. So the vice president and the KNUST coordinator are the chapter's eye. Let me put it that way. They are the chapter's eye in KNUST. They see to the activities of the chapter in KNUST. So recently we had our conference in our annual conference in KNUST, and they spearhead the activities and all. And in Ozan Chakwa Student Chapter, we have subcommittees, and these committees are tasked to carrying out specific activities. So we have the recruitment team. All of the new recruits, they were recruited by the recruitment team, and their head is Mr. James Ayena. He's the previous, the outgone president of the vice president of the chapter, sorry. Yeah, so the recruitment team, they see to the recruitment process of the chapter. Then we have the audit committee with their head being Mr. Kweku Edusei Osei-Boache. Yes, and their task is to review the chapter's accounts and disbursements and report on any lapses. So as I'm speaking, they are auditing the financial secretary on every spending of the chapter. So they report on every spending we've done, and if there is any lapses, they will seek answers to it. So and also we have the brainstorm and innovative team, and the head is our very own moderator, Mr. Frank. The head is Mr. Frank Techi. He's from UMAT, and their function is they carry out innovative projects, and they also represent the chapter in the UMAT and Innovative Career Fair and any other professional career event that may come up. If they have any project in mind, they work on it, then they will represent the chapter in the fair. Then we have the Technical Paper Writing Committee, and their head is in the person of Mr. Abdullah Muhammad Bello. And they are in charge of writing all technical papers of the chapter. And recently, they are working on bringing out a template, something like a guide to guide the student members when they are writing essays for their Awesome Chakwa Student Chapter, the scholarship, when they are writing essays for the scholarship. When we are writing this, when we are applying for the scholarship, it is required of us to write essays. And we had few recommendations on how to improve the writing skills of the members. So right now they've taken up the task of working on a template to bring out a template on how to write a good essay. So they are working on that. So very soon we'll make it available to the entire student membership. Then last but not the least, we have the Professional Training and Development Committee, and their head is our very own moderator. He's the person of Mr. Fred Sechi. And they are to drive the orientation of new recruits and any other professional development training. So this orientation was put together by he and his team, and I must say they've done a good job. So on this note, these are the leadership we've been working with since 1st June, and we are doing good. We hope to do more before we hand over. And I would encourage each and every one of you who have interest in joining any of the subcommittee to contact the head. I'll make their contact available on the page so that whichever committee that you feel like you will do better, you contact the head and he will add you to the page. That is if you meet their requirements, yes. So on this note, these are the leadership that I'm working with. And I would like to take this opportunity to add that if any member should have a problem with any other member or any executive, please use the right channel of communication. That is, you report first to the executives. And if the executive find it beyond their means to handle it, then they seek advice from the management. You don't go straight to the management to report an observation you've made or a complaint you've seen. So we advise that you kindly use the right channel of communication. If you have a problem with any executive, being myself, you can report it to the vice president. If you have any problem with any member or any executive, kindly use the right channel of communication. We plead you guys on that. So on this note, these are my executives that I'm working with, and I appreciate them and I acknowledge their hard work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Abigail, our very own president. We hope to do more before we hand over, she said. And yes, we will do more with your leadership and then also our new recruits joining us. So I would like to take this opportunity to advise our new recruits that I know we all came on board with various strengths that we would like to use to help the chapter. So as our president has taken us through the various committees, let's do well to find where we best fit and then help the chapter grow together. Thank you once again, Miss Abigail.
Yeah, please, before you continue, I would like to also introduce the head of the electoral commissioner. And the normal circumstances, we are to have one from Ken Wasty and one from UMAT. For now, we have one from UMAT. We are working on getting one from Ken Wasty. So the head of the electoral commission is in the person of Mr. Daniel Gia Ajaman. Yes, sorry, I omitted him. So he is the head of the electoral commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abigail, for the correction. Yes, we are far behind time. So moving on to our next item on the list, we have some guest speakers who are going to give us some speeches. Yes, we need to know how being an OSAM member tastes like, and how being a leadership in OSAM also tastes like. Yes, we should not just aspire to be members of OSAM, but also to be leaders as well. Therefore, to do us the honor of sharing his leadership experience as an OSAM TAKA student chapter, a leader in OSAM TAKA student chapter is Mr. Wisdom Adjuna, our immediate past president and alumnus of the chapter. So if you can hear me, Mr. Wisdom, please take over.
Thank you so much, moderator. You are really doing a fantastic job. Audience, please, is my voice audible?
Yes, please.
Also, thank you so much, Patron and Engineer Sam, for the fantastic exposition on the various things which have been made known to us. As rightly said by the moderator, I am Wisdom, the immediate past president of the OSIM TAKA Students Chapter. And standing on all protocols, I'd also want to acknowledge all the management of the OSIM Student Chapter, starting from Emienchi, Patron, and Dr. Isi Ampofo, and all persons present, not forgetting Engineer Sam. Today's evening, I have been told to give my speech on my leadership experience in the OSIM TAKA Students Chapter. So my keynotes would be centered on the following: my journey to become an OSIM student member, my earlier stages in the pursuit of leadership roles of the OSIM TAKA, my call into the office of the president, roles and responsibilities, my leadership challenges and how they were surmounted, my opportunities and benefits as the OSIM TAKA president, in quotes, testimonies I would always say to myself, and lastly, concluding remarks. In light of my first note, which is my journey to become a student member of the OSIM TAKA, I must admit that I started as the new recruit. I remember somewhere 2019, that was level 200 in my second semester, and I was just taking a stroll along the library. I meant to Martin. Just by surprise, I checked the notice board, and there was this notice by the OSIM that they've opened their meeting room to recruit student members. So whoever has interest and is eligible to the qualities or specifics that apply. So I made some background inquiries. I was enlightened about them, and I gave a shot. I didn't end there. I was persistently doing follow-ups on it via Anafu, who was always my predecessor anyway. Until I got to the good news that I have become the OSIM students chapter. So kudos to all the new recruits for joining the OSIM. You've really done a good job. The second item on my list is my earlier stages in the pursuit of leadership roles of the OSIM TAPA. Yeah, I joined OSIM TAPA as earlier on said, level 200 first semester. And during that semester, I remember Ishmael Anafu was busily handling and working so hard to ensure that it was a fantastic conference, of which he did, and I always admire him for that. So I joined, and during that time, to the forum didn't have much people. So I didn't know anybody much per se. And as I always tell myself, if I had really known that the following semester, I Wisdom could have become the OSIM president, I would never have believed. Because one, I was only born about the activities of the OSIM, and I wasn't that serious with the activities. The only thing I could recall, I was seriously taking part, not seriously taking part, shallowly taking part was taking part in the publicity team, where we had to go to various hostels and make publicity towards the upcoming conference. So the conference was over, and getting to the end of the semester, then there was this notice that there is an institution, I meant to say an unaffiliated institution called the Audit Committee. So by then too, I didn't have much leadership position. So I just don't know, it just occurred to me that give a shot. So I gave a shot, then lo and behold, so I happened to be shortlisted for that portfolio. So it was myself and Hubert Shi, who is presently an alumnus of the OSIF and he works at Sanko Goldmine. So he was the person I could say that by then he was my friend, and he was ahead of me in 1 year. So we were just connecting behind closed doors, and he was giving me an exegesis on how to go about this audit thing. But honestly speaking, by then I couldn't take part in the write-outs because I was also preparing so desperately for Wizard Games. That was UMAT. We were preparing for Wizard Games at UCC. So I couldn't take part in the write-outs. But with the auditing of the people, with that, I was able to do. And I remember that was my first time where I had to sit among the executives. I meant to say Ishmael's Anafu's administration, and I had to behave like I'm a strong man and give them word to word. If they go wrong, I have to caution them. I see any interest or anything about the finances of the house, I had to question them. So I would say that is where my leadership qualities or my leadership exposure started from. And not only that, though I was also the audit, and was also doing one thing which helped me a lot. Anytime there is a communique which is posted on the OSIM page, then yeah, sometimes I comment, sometimes I raise objection. And so these were some of the things I was just doing behind closed doors, but I wasn't being persistent. And I never knew that these little things I was doing could lead me to become the next president of the OSIM. So the first semester eventually exhausted. Then there was this second semester. That was when Ishmael's administration unfortunately was about coming to an end. Then there was this notice that the forum is opening its room again for any interested student who might want to take any portfolio of the OSIM. So when the opportunity came, the first thing which occurred to me was to go for the financial secretary. And the reason why I went for the financial secretary was because I had series of rumors, people saying, hey, Wisdom, this portfolio you've taken, it will be heavier than you. And they were making references, the previous one, this was what and that they were going through, and Henry is a tough guy and he will always be on your neck. But I always told myself, I love to challenge myself. So though they said it one way or the other, I got intimidated, but I never gave up. So I applied for the financial secretary. Then Ishmael came up with another notice that the other portfolios had been occupied, but the presidency, nobody is even making an attempt. I don't know, maybe Ishmael also DM me and talk to me about it. But when he talked to me about it, I didn't just accept his decision or his proposal. And one thing I also love doing is always making background investigation about things and making other inquiries. So I did, and it's just amazed me that the number of people I really asked about this leadership thing, most of them were just, I don't know, but everybody felt that no, wisdom cannot do this job. But they're saying this job is tiring, you're going to sit under Henry's administration or umbrella, the way this man will stress you. But I sat down and I had this conviction in mind that, yes, I'm not afraid of challenge. Let me give it a try. So I gave the try, and obviously it was publicly noticed that these are the respective individuals in the various disciplines who would be opting for the various portfolios. So by then, I've never had any physical contact or any interaction with him. And one day, I remember I went for a lecture, and it was in the course of the day. I was very tired, so I slept. I was just taking a nap, and I don't know. I woke up, turned on my data, and surprisingly, Mr. Henry entry from nowhere. But one thing I got to notice was his DP is always on. So just by his DP, I could recognize that Mr. Henry. Then what he said is, "Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Wisdom. Congratulations for applying for the OSIM presidency and blah, 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 blah." Then his follow-up comment was, "May I know your portfolio and may I know your policies and innovation?" And honestly speaking, by then, the only policy or innovation I had in mind was introduction of OSIM handbook. So smartly, an idea came to my mind and said, "Okay, sir, please give me some time to think about it." So I thought about it, reverted his message, and he told me that, and he started finding hitches and some shortcomings, loopholes within my policies. But the last word he left, and I'll never forget, was like, "You have a strong rival. And by then, my rival was my immediate past vice president, which is James Aina. I call him Brother Old. So Henry told me this, that you have a strong rival, so you have to toughen up with your policy innovation." And I said, "Thank you." So that was the end of it. Then the opportunity came for vetting, which was followed by election. So the vetting thing, I don't know, we did it virtually because by then we're in the corona period. I was vetted on the OSIM pages. People were throwing questions, slapping me with questions and comments and so many things, but I did my maximum best. And when the vetting was over successfully, the election came. Then surprisingly, I became the OSIM Papa Students Chapter. And the next item on the list is my call into the office of the president, roles and responsibility. Yeah, basically, when I was the president of the OSIM Student Chapter, my basic responsibilities or roles were, one, to supervise my core executives, not forgetting the Beautiful, who is the immediate past financial secretary, James Aina, the immediate past vice president, Abigail Abdu, who is currently the president of the Students Chapter, Nathan Isian, who was the organizing secretary, and what's his name? Emmanuel, who was Henry always called him the efficient PR. So these were the people I was honestly working close in hands with them. So what I do was, most of the work I supervise, and on the other hand, I take part in the activities. So maybe where I think I could assist them, I do. So with that, we're building ourselves together. When we realize one shortcoming, I think if I'm the best person to fill that vacancy, I do that or bring another person on board. So that was how I was running my leadership then. But there is one thing I will never forget. I remember when my leadership was about ending, just like Ishmael's one day. And one time I was having a chat with Mr. Henry, then he just brought in a conversation, and he was like, "Wisdom, did you know that before you even became the OSIM president, most of the people had even outshewed you?" And I was like, I was like, "How?" And Mr. Henry was like, "People used to think that you are reserved, you are blah, those kind of comments people always think about people." So those were the things that he was saying, but I was saying that the honest truth was I outsmarted them and I became the OSIM president. So the point here is that everybody is eligible to become a leader. You just need the boss to step forward and convince people, seek for advice about leadership, read books, then you can do better than we did. And the next item on the list is my leadership challenges and how they were surmounted. When I was the OSIM TACWA president, some of the outstanding leadership challenges we faced and how they were surmounted were: one, conflict of interest, or keeping everyone on the same page. I always remember this was the most outstanding one, I must admit, because I remember when we started as executives, we were all enthusiastic about our cause, energetic, we want to do this, and the connectivity was very, very short. But as time proceeded on, we realized that God, some hitches and some loopholes were coming on. And so I remember sometimes an idea will be brought on board, but some might side with it, others might not side with it. And I don't know what happened. But the end of it was that it didn't end well. So how we were able to eliminate or mitigate the conflict of interest was one. I remember it just occurred to me that I should speak to Patron about it, and also followed by eventually like what our president said, Abigail Ado. If anybody has an issue with any executives, you don't straightforward raise a complaint to Henry Enchi. You are laid down channels you should follow through. Maybe you start with the executives, followed by Patron, then you can get to Henry. So that was how we were able to resolve the conflict of interest. We brought in a mediator here in the case that the mediators were the management of the OSIM student chapter. So sometimes Patron comes in, and that's one thing I also loved about Patron. Patron is the hard type, and he also sometimes gives a blunt responses or blunt comment or advice. If you do what is right, he will praise you for that. If you do what is wrong, if he has to humiliate you or criticize you or punish you publicly, maybe with words, he would do that. And he did that on me. And now I feel like I'm a good man and I'm also growing up. The second challenge was delegating of responsibilities. Yeah, this was also another second outstanding challenge I personally was facing. And I got to understand that after I handed over. One time I sat down and just occurred to me that wisdom, you're a perfectionist. And one thing about being a perfectionist is that they always want things to be done in their way because they feel like if I have this ambition that what I want to do should be this, and somebody does it below the belt, then what is the point of letting the person do? So that was what I was doing. Sometimes you delegate a responsibility to somebody, the person will do the work, but you might be expecting that Mr. A should have done better than or equal to what you were doing. By here being the case, the person does not do it. So I was taking that responsibility and like handling the works by myself. And Henry saw this. And when he saw this, Henry was also very smart on this. Instead of he pounding or propounding me with a lot of responsibility, he started delegating. So when I realized that Henry is now really stressed on me, and I got to notice that if you're an efficient leader, you should always delegate responsibilities. You can't be the leader whereby always you are doing all the jobs. No, sometimes you have to hand it over to somebody, at least the person have an exposure about it. Or maybe if you hand it over, you can do the moderation or the supervision. Maybe he didn't do it. So, okay, Mr. A, if you had done it this way, this is how that and that could have been. So that one, so I also want to comment Henry Enchi for the indirect answer to this by delegating the responsibility instead of being up pounding them on me or pounding them on me. And the last but not least was last minute releases of notice to the OSIM members. Yeah, when we came to office, actually it wasn't an easy one, and you know we students how we think, we always want to execute our responsibilities last minute. So I was just implementing such mindsets with the OSIM activities, and here most of it was on my name. Mr. Wisdom, most of your members are complaining that you always release notices about OSIM activities late. Do something about it, but I don't know. But okay, by then there was this procrastination and delay happening. So I was just doing it. Henry was always on it. But to the glory of God, after my handing over, I've learned that procrastination and delaying of minutes and that are not good. So I think that one has also really helped me. And last was non-resilience to stand complaint shown on me and my administration. A typical paradigm is the last minute releases of notice to the OSIM members. When Henry was persistently on me, wisdom, people are complaining that you don't release this notice on time. You know, I was just worried, oh God. Sometimes you feel like maybe I'm releasing the notice on time, but the honest truth was that from Henry's observation, based on what people were telling him, I haven't been doing that. So he was always telling me, sometimes I just get overwhelmed and I feel like I'm not competent enough, and sometimes I begin to question my other administration. But Henry also came in with an answer to mitigate this, and the answer he gave me was that, yeah, it's okay for people to criticize you or raise complaints about you if you're a leader. But the most important thing is that your better sides are far better than the negative side. So if your better sides are far better than the negative side, then just give an attention to the negative sides people are raising complaints or proposals about. Then work things out. That is where the completion of you being a leader comes from. And I remember this thing, we had an extensive call on it on a phone call. And at the long run, I felt relieved. So the next item too is benefit for being the opportunities as well as benefit for being the head of the OSAM TAPA student chapter, I myself. The two outstanding opportunities I would always say to myself and people by a chance I meet them are one, when I was the OSAM student chapter president, I had that special privilege to join Henry Entry and Theophilus Mensah to visit the current Vice Chancellor of UMA, which is Prof. Richard Kuma at his lodge, whereby I just sat down comfortably just to listen to Henry's outstanding ideas on how he could mitigate the unemployment rate of the UMA students. And the funniest part is I sat with him. Conversation were done. And another opportunity was when Henry came back to Ghana. By then I was in Accra, and there was this company, I can't recall the name really, but this company came in, and because of Henry's influence, his intelligence, of which I always fall in love with him because of his intelligence, he just gave me an invite, and I remember the current vice president, which is at the Agnes was also part. So I had this special privilege to join Henry at that company. Henry went, the way Henry made us feel like we were kings who amazed you. We met the reception, and it was like, meet the OSAM students chapter president, meet this and that. So already, Henry was already lifting up high just by taking that portfolio. And I also not forget this, because of the name OSAM student chapter, I remember whenever Henry sends me on a virtual errands, I just enter the person's DM, and I say, I introduce myself, and I add, I am the president of the OSAM student chapter, and I've been sent on behalf of Henry Entry. Just because of the name and Henry Entry, the person just gives you your optimum time. Then just relay what you want to do, then you are gone. So just this portfolio, if you have this, if you are lucky enough to gain this portfolio and Henry sends you just by the name and the name of Henry, Henry is like almost everywhere. Just by that title, you get people just giving you their maximum attention. And the last, and now back to the benefit for being the head of the OSAM student chapter. One is exponential improvement with my communication skills. I remember I used to tell James Aina about this. Before the OSAM president, I didn't know, but I was very poor with my communication skills. And I still remember when Henry was in Ghana, sometimes you'd be having a conversation with Henry, and Henry would like, wisdom, I don't understand. And mentally, I just get stranded. So sometimes when it gets to the stream, I remember Henry would have to call me either via WhatsApp or phone call for me to explain before he understands. But I was there to the glory of God. Often late, I can have a conversation with Henry, and I feel like Henry responding. So which means I've improved on my communication skills. And when I handed over to, there haven't been anywhere I have been and I've not been able to communicate communicate whatever I want to intend or propose to people. So the presidency is a very good portfolio for any new recruits to give a shot or have a vision one day of occupying. And the second one is building relationship with giants and friends. Yeah, like Peter Riley said in one of his during his early presentation, he was like, we are in the COVID era, and so things were done virtually. And it was during my administration we started with this webinar. So anytime an idea strikes Henry's mind, he sorts it out, then he releases the person's number to me. And I remember most of them would always advise me, build connection with these people, build connection with these people. And I was always adhering to his advice. So I took the person's number and we were building connection behind closed doors. And out of it, it has also helped me. And also not forget about during the execution of our mentorship when Dr. Bright, who had to hand over the immediate past Vice Chancellor of UMAT, that is Prof. Kuma. He gave me the number, whereby even myself, I didn't know he was the Vice Chancellor. And honestly speaking, he's more than a father to me now. Things strikes my mind, things overwhelms him. I just hear him, then he will just be sending inspirations with this word of God. So just imagine if I had not occupied that portfolio, these privileges would have boycotted me. The last one is self-confidence. Yeah, I remember before when I at the earlier stage of my leadership too, Henry was always saying that wisdom, you are soft and you are always concerned about what people will say about you. And though Henry's observations about me were always accurate they were always accurate, but the handing over, how I don't see myself as soft. Nowadays, I don't really mind if I step on people's toes, because I remember Henry was always consistent about this thing. As a leader, you don't have to be afraid to step on the toes of people. If you know what you are doing is right, say it and move on. But at the beginning, these ideas were not in my mind. I was always contemplating about things and that and that. And one thing I would always admire about Henry Ng is, when I was the president, Henry Ng always wants you, whether you are the head for a subcommittee or the head for the presidency, he always wants you to submit a proposal to him, like a raw material. So you submit to him, then he refine it for you as a good. So that was what he was. And I remember with this mentorship thing, the idea just came in mind. I didn't even think about inauguration. I just sent it to him via. He congratulated me on that. He called me on WhatsApp. We started talking about it. Then inauguration came in mind, and not to see other channels for ideas and that and that. Then it just shot up, and now it's one of the outstanding policies in the OSIM. And another benefit was that just recently I just got the opportunity. I went to the range for the immediate past president of the OSIM. I think Patron even introduced it. That is the lady, the Jenny something. I was just surfing over the internet, entered my LinkedIn. Then lo and behold, I just saw this woman sending me an invitation to join, an invitation as in a connection for LinkedIn. I was really surprised. I just hurriedly rushed out to Henry and I was like, Henry, this lady just sent me a connection. She the right. Henry was like, sometimes you have to be very, very careful because people are very dubious with this. They can just pop in and they're not very smart. They'll just be just taking your money and that. But trust me, she was the right one. So I'm just imagining if I had not gotten this, if I had not taken this opportunity, or if I had not gotten this leadership opportunity. So before I conclude my presentation, these are my concluding remarks. And I heard Mr. Tichi also say something similar to it. So I would also want to hit on it so that we can all, so that we wouldn't forget about it. The concluding remarks, the first bulleted one is, to the newly recruited members, I would want you to understand that the OSIM TAQWA platform isn't a platform for advertising politics, religious doctrines, and or activities, products, whether personal products, cosmetics, ladies' things or menswear, or fun activities, sports and activities. These are red flags on the OSIM TAQWA student platform. So please take note for me. It is purely a platform skewed to our professional development via industry update notices, of which those who are on the OSIM page can now attest to that fact. We have conferences and webinars. Yeah, we have physical workshops, we have mentorship, and etc. So please take notes of the first bullet. The second concluding remark is that people will always remember you for your sacrifices. So if you're a leader, you do a good job, you always be remembered by your people. Yeah. And the third item on the list, the third bulleted point is, leadership is not occupying positions. It is accomplishing outstanding tasks. And if you do well, wherever you go, people will admire you for your leadership skills. The next on the line is, in the school of leadership, what makes outstanding leaders or leaders mature are the responsibilities well accomplished. Just imagine if I had not opened myself out for Henry to be bombarding me with a lot of responsibilities, or just imagine if Henry had bombarded me with a lot of responsibilities and I tried finding my way out just to ensure that I convenience myself. By now, things I have achieved as an individual, I wouldn't have achieved. So in the school of leadership, what makes outstanding leaders or leaders mature are their responsibilities well accomplished. So those spearheading the subcommittees, the core executive, a reminder that you should always put in your maximum best, 120%, Maybe today you might not see the results, but after your leadership, you see it by yourself or for yourselves. The next one is the difference between you and those making things happen is that they take little bold steps, dealing with readiness to embrace mistakes to they get better. I took this extract from Miss Eni Itel Komalaga. She was the editor of Henry Entries book. And I remember when Abigail Ado entered my DM about this topic, she was the first person who came in mind. And I got her number, her personal number, because of Henry. Henry sent me her number. And I always remember, he would tell you when I send somebody's number, build connection with that person. And I was doing that. So when this thing came, I reached into her DM. Then she started pouring me with her articles and ideas and comments on how to go about it. So I read them very well and I decided to take that extract just for our knowledge consumption. So Miss Eto Komalaga, wherever you are, I'll say thank you so much for the exegesis on this. And also let's note that we all have the great leadership skills all inherent in us. If you want to manifest this or if you want to find it, you need a leadership opportunity to do that. So to the newly recruits, any opportunity which comes on the OSIAM platform, don't sit on it, neither should you boycott it. Take advantage of it. Like I had already said, today you might not see the impact, but tomorrow you will surely do. And lastly, as aspiring professionals at our respective disciplines, if we can see much brighter, we need the shoulders of giants to stand on. And Henry is a typical example. I just imagine if I had not met Henry, those privileges wouldn't have come. And I'm so happy. I remember even recently there was this sad news which occurred to me regarding my NSS, and I was having a conversation with Henry, and I told him it's okay, I can handle it. Saying that because I felt that I have stood on his shoulders enough, and there are some things which have made me a man. And today I reached him and he asked me about it, and I told him my opinion about it. So OSIAM platform, leadership portfolios in the OSIAM platform is the best place to refine yourself as a professional. And I strongly believe that as time progresses, Abigail Ado's administration will start bringing on board mentors and be allocating each person with a mentor. When such opportunity comes to pass to the newly recruited members, I would urge you that you take advantage of that. Always remember that today you might not see the impact, but tomorrow you would see. Thank you so much for your time and cheers, wisdom.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wisdom, for sharing with us your leadership experience as an OSIAM new recruit and also as a leader in OSIAM. Thank you very much. Through your presentation, we've gotten to know that it is going to be challenging, whether a recruit and a normal member or even a leader, but we must always have the spirit to learn and to improve. It is only by this that we can become better. Thank you again, Mr. Wisdom. So our time is fast spent, and then to move on to our next item on the list is an advice speech. But I would like to admonish all of us to start letting our questions come in. So you can send your questions onto the platform so that after the next speech, we can zoom into the questions and answering session. So without wasting much time, I'll call our next speaker in the person of Dr. Kwesi Ampofo, who is also a co-sponsor of OSIAM Tarkwa Student Chapter. He's going to give us an advice as new recruits. So if Dr. Kwesi Ampofo is with us, please, you can take over.
Thank you very much, Fred. And thank you for all the speakers that have been able to share their insights earlier today. It's always a good feeling to be back to engage with us IMM Tarkwa. And today, I think, to be brief, given how much time we spent, I wanted to just highlight 5 things that would benefit you as members of this prestigious body. And the first one that I can think of, I've been with the IMM for quite a long time. I think the first thing I can think of is the fact that as members of IMM, make sure you educate yourself. That is a fundamental thing that you can do for yourself as members. And My senior colleagues, Bright and Sam, have made mention of various avenues through which you can educate yourself. And for me, one more that I wanted to add is the OZIMM website. Once you become members, you get access to a lot of learning materials, such as the One Mind, or even a lot of access to webinars, among other reading materials. It's good beyond just your mechanical engineering, your mining engineering, your electrical engineering, or whatever you are studying. It's always important to be able to connect your knowledge to the wider mining industry or the wider global trends, so that once you become graduate, you will not just be specialist in mining or mineral alone. Rather, you'll be well baked to take on the world, irrespective of whichever capacity you are put in. The second thing I wanted to say is to engage. OZIMM is a global organization with about 13,000 members. Once you become a member, you sit at the same table with any of them. So take advantage of this privilege and engage with them. You could have members in Australia, you could have members even in Hong Kong, you could have members in South Africa. If there is any technical thing, that's sort of where you feel you will need more enlightenment on, please reach out to any of these members you have access to. Introduce yourself as an OZIMM member, because that instantly equalizes the relationship. And do reach out to them with your questions, with your, even if you have, it shouldn't always be you getting stuff like, oh, I need this. You can also offer to help them. Like, I saw you request something from Ghana, I could help you get this data. But bottom line, engage with the community. It's a 13,000 plus membership organization. And like I said earlier, you all sit at one table now. So make use of that. The third thing I wanted to talk about is network. Build your network is very important. Once again, beyond your degree, after you graduate, you would realize that it's very important to be top in class. It's very important to be an A student. But then at the end of the day, humans make decisions. And it's easier when you have a stronger network as opposed to going in the industry where you have no network. So go to conferences. These days, there are digital conferences where you can be anywhere in the world and you participate. So please take advantage of that. Network, follow up with your network, check on your network, offer to help and learn from your networks. And I'm sure, if there are mentorship programs that are organized, participate in them, be active, and build strong and lasting relationship. The fourth thing I wanted to share with you is to be ambassadors. And I always say this whenever I have to speak to the new recruits, that we can only grow this organization if people get the privilege or opportunity to see the good things we are doing. And if we don't tell our story, then it becomes difficult to grow this year on year. So be good ambassadors. Wherever you are, let people know that you are OZIMM members and speak about the benefits that you've acquired. Share the insights that you get, and also let the world know what we do. So the next generation of OZIMM members could potentially come from your good deeds. I think the final thing and the most important thing for me is, whilst you're a member, have fun. Have fun with your colleagues, have fun with, us, have fun with in anything, because times are hard. We are currently going through a global pandemic. Your examinations, you need to study. But then in the middle of all this, take time, organize social events among yourself, go to a park, play some football, go for a run together, do something that would also help to mentally prepare you as the world around us is getting much more difficult and difficult. And if you put all these 5 together, I'm pretty sure that your time as members, student members of the OZIMM, will be a fulfilling one. And like we always say, our doors are open. Come to us, we would always help, except finances. And I wish you all the best. Welcome once again. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Kwesi Ampofo, our co-sponsor. I hope we've really learned a lot from the presentations from our various speakers and the speeches given so far. Yes, and we hope that we all abide by them and then we work with them. So to the next item on our list, we have the question and answer session. Yes, and this session is going to be very brief and then fast. So I would like us to send our questions onto the platform so that our speakers will be able to answer us. So even as I'm talking, we can keep sending our questions onto the platform. And please, let's be brief about it so that we can conclude and then have other things to do. So please, let's keep our questions coming. Okay, so our first question on the list is, what are some of the adverse effects exceeding a regulatory standard have on an engineering firm? This is a question someone is asking. So please, any of our speakers can tackle the question for us. What are some of the adverse effects exceeding a regulatory standard have on our engineering firm? I think the person is trying to talk about Allsign.
Okay. What exceeding, that is, you are going beyond the regulated standard, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the effect is, it depends on which regulatory standard that you are going beyond. Let me give an example. Let's say you have a tailings dam, right? And that's a tailings storage facility whereby after processing, the waste actually is sent to. There is actually what we call the freeboard. So the freeboard is when you have a dam, right? The freeboard is normally the level of that tailings, to the final, that's the when you lift it. So the level of the tailings, in reference to the height of, the maximum height of the dam. So normally it's like 3 meters, and it's something that is your minimum, right? And the moment it goes below it, that can, especially when it comes to EPA, they don't joke with, when it comes to like freeboard, they can just come to the mine and close it out. And I remember in Anglo Gold, that was back in 2010, we had that issue whereby, our freeboard, instead of the 3 meters, it was almost like 2 meters. And we were shut down for a whole month to, come up with a new interim tailings dam. So it can get to that, magnitude of sanction. Then you also have normal, like, when you blast, and instead of, getting a vibration of 2, and you get beyond it, that one, if it's once off, nothing really happens currently in the the EPA or the Minerals Commission. But again, if you record, I think within a year, if it's more than either 4 or 5, then they give you more, like they rate you red, so it's corporate image. It's something that they publish to the whole, media, and everyone sees and says, so okay, so this mine, it's not, abiding by the standard. So again, that is one thing that they could also do, which definitely affects your corporate image. And once your corporate image is affected, it goes to, you don't get investors, and it affects, the mine or the project. So those are some of the the effects, the adverse effects of exceeding a regulatory, standard. And again, it depends on, what standard that you are exceeding.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Sam, for giving us clarity on the question being asked. We thank you very much. So we should keep our questions coming. Yes, our time is fast spent, so please keep your questions coming. And then we have an announcement. Any new recruit who has a special skill in programming and research can contact the head of the Innovative and the Brainstorm team. Yes, they want people on board who can help them in terms of research. So if you have any special skill in that direction, you can contact any of the executives, or you can send me a message and I will link you to the team. Thank you. So please, is there any other question? Please, is there any other question? Hello, please, can you hear me? Okay.
I think there's a question. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a question, and then the question is directed to Mr. Wisdom. I think someone wants to find out what you mean by a perfectionist. So, Mr. Wisdom, please, if you can hear me.
Am I loud and clear?
Yes, please. You are loud and clear.
Thanks so much, Solomon, for the question. Perfectionist means like someone who always wants to have something done in an extraordinary way. So that's perfect style. Perfectionist comes from the word perfect. So he wants something to be done at this hierarchy. So that's what I term as a perfectionist person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wisdom. Thank you for giving us clarity on who a perfectionist is. So the next question we want to talk about is chapter. So our guest speakers can tackle this question for us. Some challenges that we faced when setting up the TAKWA student chapter.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, am I on?
Yes, please, you are on.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Let me just pick this one. I'm shuffling between 2-3 meetings, so I'm going on and off. But I just read the challenges that were faced in setting up the chapter. Just a quick one. So the main challenge, which obviously is about recognition by the institution. So, you know, before you set up a chapter, the university or institution must recognize you, and they do that by knowing your constitution and stuff. So the first thing was to draft a constitution, which already we had it from the global OSIM, and then we started moving. So that was the challenge. Then also finances, you know. But as I said, the tradition of OSIM is about sponsoring. So we got Engineer Sam, we got Dr. Ampofo, even though when he was right after when he was still a student, PhD student, he was still empowering us financially. And we got some OSIM members on campus, that's TAKWA campus, supporting as well. Also other financial members or professional members, like I can list but a few. OSIM has got Anglo Gold Ashanti. We have some members there like Mary, Sly, Army Appel, like a lot of the professional members around in TAKWA and in Ghana were supported, and also external sponsor, forgotten his name, was also helping. Yeah, So that's it. I think the only major challenge, not non-financial, was the students understanding how the communication pattern or management is actually coordinated, you know, whether some are hearing information from Henry's secretary, from professionals, from patron, from previous fellowship, previous presidents. So some people got confused and all those things. But over the years, it's been streamlined. So I think Wisdom spoke about that. And so now the challenge is no more, and we are on a full flight now. All right, I hope this answers it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bright-Efum, for giving us clarity on the question being asked about our challenges establishing the TAKWA student chapter. I hope our questions are being. Please, is there any other question anyone wants to ask? Hello, is there any other question?
Hello.
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Good evening, Master. Yes, good evening. Okay, this is not a question. This is just an add-on to what I've already been speaking about. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all our new recruits, and we are hoping for the best for all of them in their professional journey. I would also like to add that our activities are very busy in the TAKWA chapter. So most of the time, you don't get the chance or the time to visit our website, as Dr. Kwesi Ampofo was saying. But it's an opportunity for all our new recruits to always get a chance to visit our global websites in the OSINE website, so that you can also subscribe to our fortnightly newsletters and our global One Mind Digital library. It has a lot of information, or a lot of. We would like to also see skills, as Mr. Fresechi was saying. We would like to welcome all of you on board. Thank you very much, and enjoy your stay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tichi. So we'll move on to our next item on the list. And then we would like to take our closing remarks from Ms. Ursula Owusu, who is a member of the Professional Training and Development Committee. So if Ms. Ursula, you are with us, please give us the closing remarks.
Hello. Thank you so much, moderator. Good evening once again, everyone. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello, yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. I am a US lab pursuing minerals engineering year 4. On behalf of the present administration of OSINE TAKWA, first and foremost, I would want to extend our appreciation to the management of the OSINE TAKWA student chapter, precisely Mr. Henry Enchi, founder, Dr. Kwesi Ampofo, co-sponsor Dr. Bright-Efum, patron, for massively working behind closed doors in ensuring today's event become a memorable one. May God really bless them. On the other hand, I also want to thank all the guest speakers today on today's lineup on the team orientation for newly recruits, precisely Dr. Bright-Efum, patron, OSINE TAKWA for letting us know the history of OSINE, senior mining engineer, for taking us through the core values of OSINE, Dr. Kwesi Ampofo, co-sponsor of OSINE TAKWA student chapter, for your advice. We appreciate. Mr. Wisdom Abinai, former president of OSINE TAKWA student chapter, for sharing your leadership experience in OSINE TAKWA student chapter with us. Last but not the least, I would want to extend a big thank you to all participants present, both OSINE member and non-OSINE members at today's virtual event, to the newly recruits, Congratulations on joining the Osime Kappa Student Chapter. May you enjoy your stay to the fullest. Before I close my speech, I did learn few things from today's speakers, and I will share with you all. Everyone has great leadership potential inherent in them. However, to manifest them, we ought to show a keen interest in leadership positions when they avail themselves. Leaders will always be remembered for their sacrifices, good service to their people organization. And lastly, leadership is not occupying position, it is accomplishing outstanding things. May we all have great week. Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you, Ms. Ursula, for giving us a very wonderful closing remarks. We really appreciate. All too soon, our program is coming to an end. In fact, it has actually come to an end. And then we want to thank everyone for coming and then participating fully. I would like to admonish the new recruits that we will be sharing flyers on our pages. And one culture about Osime is that we have a very great publicity. So whenever flyers are being shared on a platform, let's do well to share it on all other platforms we find ourselves on to advocate for our programs and also make sure that there is a high publicity. Thank you. So, as I said early on, the program has successfully come to an end. I am the head of professional trainer, for making it a point to be present and also have a very wonderful evening. Thank you once again. Bye.